So just gonna click the button. Okay. I think it's live on, yeah, I think we're live on YouTube now, which is really cool. I'm looking at the stream on YouTube and it's quite difficult to see the person speaking on there. So hopefully I kind of hope it kind of works, because I can't kind of we'll see, we'll work it out, but we'll make it work, so that's the main thing. So okay, so we'll make a start now. There's 34 people here, which is really great to see. If you haven't introduced yourself, use the chat on the chat in the chat box, and yeah, then we'll start with Sean. And Sean, you can unmute yourself.
Hi.
Yeah, so people should be able to hear you now.
Great. Thank you so much for having me, and yeah, for making time to join this session. Yeah, it's great to be able to talk to you about the environment bill and plastics, and how these things fit together. And I don't know how much people will know about this opportunity that we have at the moment. It's really a kind of once in a lifetime, once in a generation rather, opportunity to kind of re-articulate our environmental framework in law in the UK. And we're kind of picking up after COVID came along and really knocked everybody sideways, and I hope you're all managing with that. It's been a tough few months, I think, for everyone, and I'll probably start there, but do just let me know. Feel free to interrupt if that's all right with you, Greg. I'm just thinking if I'm saying stuff that doesn't make sense. I'm particularly keen to try and make sure that I'm making sense, at least, to people. And then I guess there'll be plenty of time for Q&A if you want to get into some of the kind of nitty gritty stuff. But what I was thinking of doing was just giving a bit of an overview of what the Environment Bill is, and kind of where plastics fits into that, and also just touch on another sort of a related bill, which is called the Plastic Pollution Bill, and how those things relate to each other, and then kind of go on a little bit to kind of give you the latest developments on that front, and kind of opportunities that we have to try and shape things so that we really do everything we can to tackle the scourge of plastic pollution. So like I said, just let me know if anything isn't making sense, and I'll do my best to try and clear that up. I might actually share my screen, because I think there's a couple of this might help actually with some of the explanation. So hopefully you can see a diagram with Environment Bill 2019-21 at the top. So I just wanted to I'm not sure how familiar people are with how a bill passes through Parliament to become law, but essentially this kind of sets it out. So this is a government bill, so government, knowing that we're leaving the European Union, has kind of committed to transpose some of the laws from that framework into the kind of UK law, and this is one of the big bills. Other ones you might have heard of are kind of the Agriculture Bill, the Trade Bill, but Environment Bill is kind of handling a lot of environmental stuff. And this is so this bill began its passage in the House of Commons, and you can see with this diagram it doesn't always happen that way, but on this occasion it has, and it goes through a number of stages in the House of Commons before going to the House of Lords, and then sometimes you can get changes being made in both houses and the bill bouncing back and forth between those houses. There's a bit of a tussle, and then at the very end of the process, it gets royal assent from the monarch, and it becomes law. We're still at the very early stage, really. We're in the committee stage, so like smack bang in the middle of that green box on the left in the House of Commons, and that's where the bills get their first real sort of scrutiny. So there'll be a small number of MPs who join the committee and go through the bill line by line, deciding whether it needs to be changed, discussing that, voting on it. So the bill kind of comes out of that stage in a revised form. We were part way through that stage when COVID hit and everything was disrupted. And where we are now is we're expecting that stage to resume maybe at the end of this month, maybe early in October. That's our best guess. And the composition of the committee has changed a bit. So we were speaking to committee members, and we had we worked with one of some supportive MPs who have good ambition on plastics to try and get some changes at that stage, and unfortunately that we weren't successful at that stage. But we're still in touch with the MPs who are involved in this stage, and our next major opportunity is really when the bill moves on to the report stage. What happens at the report stage? The bill, having been revised by a committee, goes back to the whole House of Commons, and at that stage, any MP can suggest some changes. Which sounds great, but the major constraint on those changes being considered is the time available. And as the timetable for all of this is continued to slip, as the UK has decided not to kind of extend this transition period, we've got a hard deadline, at the end of this year where this bill needs to become law. And so there's a real pressure there in terms of which changes are selected by the Speaker of the House of Commons to be discussed by MPs. And just to kind of step back a little bit, there is a kind of so the changes that our plastics campaign at Friends of the Earth, along with a number of allies that we work very closely with on this. So I'll come on to sort of discuss that, but there's a group of organisations that really want to see a change made to the bill that really specifically references plastic pollution and addresses it. We want targets for plastic pollution specifically. We don't just want a vague target for waste and resources. We really want to make sure that we've got a firm commitment that something is going to be there's going to be a mechanism there that forces action to tackle what is a huge crisis. And obviously that hasn't gone away, even though many things have changed. If anything, maybe that crisis has deepened. And so we that's what we're pushing for as a coalition of organisations. At the same time, within Friends of the Earth, I have colleagues working on this. The real expert on the environment bill is a colleague of mine called Kira, and her set of asks, the set of changes that she'd like made to the environment bill, which as a plastics campaigner I fully endorse, and as do our coalition partners, is a kind of really robust framework within which our plastics targets will be meaningful. So some kind of enforcement. In the past, if the UK had not done what it was meant to on an environmental target, the threat there was there at European level that some kind of enforcement action could be taken, and punished essentially. The risk now is that the UK is marking its own homework, and that obviously offers a little bit of a get out of jail free card. So yeah, so alongside this kind of plastics amendment that we're pushing for, there's a set of other amendments that just things like the Office for Environmental Protection is, we want a body set up that has teeth that can really hold the government to account across the board on its environmental commitments. So just to mention that's also going on in the background. So hopefully that makes sense so far to everyone. Just let me know if I'm going too quick, too slow, or anything isn't clear. But I'll just kind of move us on to kind of the very latest development on this. So in last month, the Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, DEFRA, published some draft targets. So the way the Environment Bill is set up at the moment, we'd have this part of the law, this part of the Environment Bill will become law, and then in the future, the government would set some targets. This bit of this bit is just saying the government has to do has to set some targets. It doesn't specify in detail what those targets are. Sorry, just Kelly, I can see the bill made it as far as committee stage in the House of Commons, just to answer that question quickly. So yeah, just in the middle of this green box. I'll share this a link to this in the chat box so people can take a look at that. There's some really useful information and guidance there if you're not familiar with parliamentary bills. You can access it from that page, I think. So sorry, I was just saying that that we'll have a kind of a framework where targets will be set. We won't have the kind of the detail of those, but what did happen last month is that DEFRA kind of floated some ideas about the areas in which some of these targets could be set. So I'm just going to skip down. You'll see the only, the exception that proves the rule in a way is that right on it's called, on the face of the bill. So actually written into the bill, there is a target in relation to air pollution. But for all the other areas of the environment, it's just saying we're going to come up with something in the future. And this I'll share a link to this as well. This announcement kind of goes through the process for that. And if I skip down, so there's the air quality ones. If I skip a bit further, I think we'll find, here we are, scope of resource efficiency and waste reduction targets. So this is the kind of category that plastics falls into. But there's no mention of plastics here at all. So they've kind of looked at, I guess, the kind of top and the bottom of the waste stream, and looked at kind of how can we make things more efficiently, and how can we make sure that we don't leave so much unmanageable waste coming out the other end, or residual waste, which is the bottom of the waste hierarchy. We want to be reducing our waste. We want to be reusing things. We want to recycling has a role, and we want to do that as much as possible, but we don't want to be relying entirely on recycling. Really, we want to be getting stuff reduced and reused as much as possible. That is where we sort of draw the line in terms of the sorts of solutions that are necessary to address this crisis. So what's missing is something in the middle, we feel. That's why we think we need something that specifically says, okay, this is all great stuff, but we might end up with a situation where we just keep producing loads of plastic, massively overproducing plastic, and we try and recycle our way out of the problem. And we expend loads of energy in the process. And the reality is that a lot of this material never ends up in recycling. It would be incredibly difficult. Some of the worst kinds of microplastics, it's just not feasible to collect them. They get emitted straight into the environment, and then they cause all the problems that I'm sure many of you are familiar with. But entering food chains, we end up breathing this stuff. It shows up everywhere, and so this isn't an adequate solution to that problem. Really, we need to be, prevention is better than cure. That's the essence of it. So that sort of brings us up to speed, really. Sorry if that was a bit of a ramble through some fairly kind of arcane parliamentary terrain. But yeah, we don't have long now. The rest of this year, things are likely to move quite quickly in the next few weeks, we think. So we need to make the most of this opportunity. Yeah, this is the most recent update to our network that's going to be sent out this weekend. Essentially, our major campaign on plastics is being scaled right down to focus on the Environment Bill. So we're kind of reprioritizing and reallocating within Friends of the Earth, and climate is a huge priority for us at the moment. And we're hopeful that we've done enough so far on the campaign. There's been amazing work done already, and that this chapter, this final push on the Environment Bill will get in law the thing that we need to feel confident that things are going to start to improve. So this update is really just kind of setting that out, and also just a great announcement today, which is shared here. Iceland, the supermarket Iceland has come out with a great announcement. You can see Greenpeace, who are one of our coalition allies, welcoming it there. They've made their plastic waste completely transparent. So they've just come clean about how much they've already got commitments to get rid of their plastic from their own brand products in the next couple of years. But they just their point is we need to know the scale of the problem if we're going to tackle it, and it should be all businesses should really be doing this. It shouldn't just be a voluntary thing that Iceland does. So this is really kind of putting the pressure back onto other businesses to sort of not hide behind sound bites that sound